Brazil's reeling from the aftermath of the country's deadliest fire in decades after over 200 people perished in a nightclub blaze. I'm Deborah Kahn. Joining me now is Matt Cowley, Brazil's bureau chief, who is now in Santiago, Chile. Okay, Matt, you're in Chile because Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff was just there. She left a summit early to return to Brazil. What was her reaction while traveling with her?
Hi, good evening. That was indeed the president spoke to us this morning. It was a prearranged meeting that she was going to have with the press to discuss the results of this summit. She's been in Santiago meeting with 40 heads of state and leaders from across Latin America and the European Union. They were discussing a wide range of issues. But then this morning, obviously, as the news unfolded this morning about the fire that we had in the nightclub in southern Brazil, the president changed her plans. She did come out and very briefly. She started out quite calmly, quite collectedly, sort of explaining what she was doing, what the tasks that she'd assigned to her ministers, and the plans that she had. But then, as she started to get into the details of expressing her condolences and talking about what had actually happened, she visibly welled up, and she broke off the statement pretty much to avoid bursting out into tears. It was really quite an emotional moment.
Any indication? I mean, we've heard reports of people dying, obviously from suffocation, but also there was people obviously rushing to get out of the nightclub, and reports that some were trampled on. Any indication as yet as to why the death toll is so high?
I think the sort of the simplest answer that we have at this moment, and obviously there's still an awful lot to be investigated, but it's just that there were an awful lot of people in this nightclub, at least 1,000, maybe more than that, and the access routes were very limited. The report suggests that in fact there was only one access point, the main front door, and there's even some suggestion that at one point the security guards were blocking those doors and were preventing people from getting out. Because they thought they were trying to get out. There were customers that were trying to get out without paying. So it seems there was definitely some confusion there at as the fire was and the smoke was starting to envelop the inside. So I'm sure investigators will be taking a look at all of that.
Reports coming through from some people in the nightclub that the fire was actually started by somebody performing on stage. What do we know about this nightclub? Is it a well-known club in the town of Santa Maria?
Well, this was a nightclub. It was down in a small town, relatively small town in southern Brazil, right in the far south, actually quite close to the border with Argentina and Uruguay. And it's in a small town called Santa Maria of around 240,000 people. So a relatively small town out in, by Brazilian standards, out in the middle of nowhere. And I think this nightclub, it seems as though it was fairly central in the town, so I would imagine that it's a relatively important one. What we do know is that this town has a lot of universities and a lot of students, and it seems that the nightclub was had an awful lot of students in it. The report saying that at least half of the people that were in the nightclub were students, and it seems that they were coming back from their summer holidays, so they were just getting back from summer holidays to start their studies again. And this was a night out on the town before they began their studies.
Okay, obviously a huge tragedy, a very sad one for the country. Thanks very much, Matt Cowley, joining us from Santiago. For more on that story, you could go to WSJ.com. I'm Deborah Kahn for the Wall Street Journal Digital Network.